Screw it.
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
All right. Hey there, to all you wonderful folks. Man, it has been a hot minute since we've gotten to talk to each other, hasn't it? I swear. Oh, lovely to see all of you fine folks on this fine, glorious day. Man, there's a lot of member chats and there's a lot of stuff there. Hi, Clarissa. Thank you for the membership, by the way. And also thank you for the 10. Tug, so glad you're back. Lots of prayers for your health and your family. Stay healthy for us and them. We need to keep us updated on Turd's demise. Love you, bunches, Pickle King. Now, this today, all right, what we're talking about today, it doesn't relate to AH, by the way. I want to make that clear. It relates to some, it's fascinating stuff. I mean, it's the biggest. First of all, it's the biggest trial that you're not hearing about. You may hear it from a few sources here and there, but the mainstream media is locking it out. None of them are talking. I mean, we're talking this. We're talking the biggest kleptocracy case. I have problems saying that ever, according to the U.S. government. We're talking about superstars like Leo DiCaprio, Pras being involved. We're talking about some of JD's enemies getting connected into this stuff. And there's a little magic wheel that's being turned, one that I think I've decoded a little bit of by the wonderful Adam Waldman, amazing stuff. I mean, this stuff is so good, but it involves, again, I want to make this very clear. I'm saying this from go because I don't want anyone confused on here. You will have names like Obama, Trump brought up in this case because it is so big. You're talking about a corruption scandal on top of Hollywood corruption scandal. I mean, it's huge, but it's not a political thing when we bring that up. I mean, it's so big. And you have you have a reason for the media to ignore this thing. Oh, and yet, I mean, it's something else. What's up, Fallen Hero? Thank you for that gifted membership, by the way. And let me see. Oh, Liz. What's up, Liz? Thank you for your gifted memberships. 5 there. Thank you. And Bubbles, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I know I'm missing some member chats in there too. Things are moving really fast. Again, I've been gone. I want to note this before. I have been away for health reasons. Let's just say. All right. I've gotten a lot of nice messages in there, and I appreciate all of you. I went to Friday. I had a doctor's appointment, not related to that. It actually was related to something else. It's well, let's just be blunt about it. It was related to ongoing substance. You know, I have had substance recovery for. I've been good to go for almost 10 years. This year will be a 10-year anniversary. 3 years though, plus without any issues whatsoever. But I went in and I was feeling a little, let's just say, peaked. I didn't look good, and I've had some heart related problems, and the doctor was not very keen on the way I was looking, the vitals, some other stuff, and was like, "Yo, you need to stick around for a hot minute." So we stuck around for a few days. The kids thought that we were on vacation, but I couldn't do any. I couldn't do any coverage there. Couldn't do anything. Now I like doing coverage when people are like, "Well, take some time off, Tug." No, this is my time off. I enjoy this. It allows me to diffuse, to have a little bit of fun, stuff like that. But I ended up getting stuck near Nashville. See, the reason I say it that way, we have a hospital near us, and if I ever had a problem, yeah, they're not good. That would be a bad place to be. So if there's a real problem, the closer I can stay to Nashville, the better. It's a 45-minute drive. But anyway, it looks like they may have related to some medication, and hopefully that fixes it. I feel good today though. So, so we'll see. We'll see. But I'm taking it easy. I'm taking it slow. But yes. So anyway, I want to put that in there at the beginning and get that out of the way. I am back for now. I know it's been a crazy last month and a half. I got struck last week. So I just came out of that and then had that. So, but this, like I said, this is a big one. This will be coming back in with a big one too. Hey, what's up, USJ for Broly? Thanks for 10. Glad to have you back. Did you see all of these YouTube channels going down and hacked? I did. So Linus Tech, I saw they went down. Big one. They'll get their stuff back, but the fear is it's huge. He employs 50 plus people. Yeah, okay. So there's a lot of. Let me put out a warning to all of you too. If you're in the chats and you see people. Like you see, you're a YouTuber you like if you see me in there saying, "Hey, why don't you hit me up on? We got a giveaway. Why don't you hit me up, sir?" That's not me. All right. Hopefully people know it. We banned as many as we could. Moderators went in, myself, we went in. We banned hundreds of accounts like that. People just create more. YouTube hasn't done anything about it. But also YouTubers get sent fake promotionals and all kinds of other stuff. And if you click on them, you're hijacked, you're screwed, and it happens. So yeah, if for some reason I ever start talking about hey, invest your money in crypto, that's not me. Okay, just to say that is a scam. I would never ask you to invest your money in anything like that. But it's messed up. There have been dozens of channels. They get hit with fake sponsorships and stuff. It's a travesty. Rosemary, thanks for the 10. It's just outrageous that we have no media other than maybe 3 or 4 who they try to suppress. Will journalism ever return? Glad to hear you, Tug. I don't know. I actually don't know if we will ever have a true return to actual journalism with this stuff either. See, okay, now what really got me on this road, I want to show you something. And this was such an enigma when it started up. Now, you may hear people talk about the 1MDB case, and we will talk about the case. But the way I want to talk about this, I want to drop you something that's fascinating to me, and I'm unlocking some of this. I figure Adam Waldman will unlock some of this as he's posting. But a lot of people have been confused because Adam Waldman. Think about this. What does Adam Waldman post about all the time? He posts about a specific case involvement or a specific client involvement. That has been his social media. Now he can change, obviously. He can change, post about other things, but that, I mean, you've seen him post before, and there was a connection that it kind of set off. I guess it kind of set off the little alarm bells in my head, because I started thinking back when I saw this stuff to commentary back in 2019, where Adam Waldman was talking about some old JD enemies. You remember them? The Mandel. Do you remember? Did you remember the other lawsuits that came up? You know, the lawsuits trying to recover money. Yeah. Well, there was some fascinating stuff that came up back in 2019. I want to show you. And yeah, there's some interesting connections here. Some really fascinating ones, like we said. Let me get two things here too. Angel, thanks for the 5. Hey, Tug, welcome back. Huge birthday shout out to amazing Vanessa V. Happy birthday week. Hey, I hope you have a great birthday, by the way. Didn't realize it was your birthday. Props to you. Love it. Love it there. And Rabbit, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. So I'm going to give you a flashback before we hit this stuff right here, because this is over, again, the biggest lawsuit. But this starts up. I mean, we're talking about a lawsuit that is coming up next week. All right. So we're not talking about a lawsuit that is coming up in the far-flung future. This is coming to us, and it is coming to us quickly. And yet you don't really hear anything about it. And when you hear about it from an angle that really isn't, it's not representative of what it is. It is, but it isn't. It's the kind of spin that allows something not to truly discuss what it is. I mean, when you see this, what I mean by that is when you see some of the headlines that pop up, the headlines talking about this case. I mean, these are fascinating headlines, right? 72 witnesses, including top Trump officials, Leonardo DiCaprio, prepped for the Pras, Pras, Fuji's, for the money laundering trial here. Now that you can already tell how this is going to slant. It's going to have maybe certain political connections, but the problem is that it dirties up so many politicians. There's not one side that you can go to. They'll stick to the Hollywood side of that, and they'll leave out a lot of people. They'll leave out a lot of specific power players. And I think you're going to lose one thing in there. We'll talk about this case too. Now, when we're talking about the case, we're looking at, when you look at this case, you're looking at it through a specific lens too. The people who write up your cases, they're going to shape or sculpt the narrative that's presented. And when they shape or sculpt the narrative that's presented, you always have to remember, look deeper, look very much deeper. So back in 2019, there was this fascinating discussion that came up with Adam Waldman. Let me pull this up. This actually came through the Wall Street Journal. Now, with the Wall Street Journal, this got deflected with the Hollywood Reporter tried to deflect away from this headline, actually laying blame on Adam Waldman's doorstep for this. But this was interesting. So check this out. Now, when you put a headline up like this too, I want you to remember something about this. A place like the Wall Street Journal, when they see the Hollywood Reporter, they tried to rewrite this headline, and they tried to make this headline be oh my God, Depp and his team, they planted a story. But here's the thing. If it was a planted story and it was untrue, first of all, that would mean that the Wall Street Journal did not do its due diligence. Beyond that, too, there would be a very fascinating question. Why the hell didn't Adam Waldman get sued? Because this is one hell of a statement here It is one hell of a statement, and I'm working towards something. So I want you to understand this. Let me hit this 5 before it disappears too. 2012, thanks for 5. Tug's safe word is y'all. By the way, no way. Also, citizen journalism, it's real. That's what scares mainstream media so much, even to new proposed California tax. Well, I think it scares people because we're not beholden to any. You're beholden to platforms that are corporations, but you're not beholden to any master, anyone that's going to tell you what the hell you can or cannot cover. If you find something that seems interesting, you go after it. So there's this headline that pops up in 2019 talking about JD's former business managers facing federal probes. The IRS, the Justice Department, and the SEC are looking into management group. Now, when you look through the claims here, when you look through all of this, again, you always look at the specific types of charges that are being alleged because, there's some charges come up. Let me just read some of this to you really fast, okay? So you can see what's here. Federal investigators from 3 agencies are probing a top Hollywood business management firm facing fraud allegations from former client. According to people familiar with the situation, the IRS and the Justice Department are jointly looking into possible fraud and money laundering by management group founded by brothers Joel and Rob Mandel, people said. The securities at the SEC will just say separately investigating how the management group handled funds. But the things that they talk about with this, it's interesting to see because, again, you have the rewriting of this. Again, the media. Hey, let me see if I find that Hollywood. There's a specific Hollywood reporter. Hey, what's up, Captain Mick? By the way, thank you for the 10 there. Welcome back to. Thank you for that. There was a specific article. Well, it goes a little further than that. I mean, when you think about the investigation, what this kind of stuff would be into. Again, I'm working towards something. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for that Hollywood Reporter article. I had it pulled up and then my freaking computer restarted on me. How it goes. But I pulled it up, and like I said, I want you to kind of understand, not just this popping up. Here it is. So there was a Hollywood Reporter article that came up that tried to deflect against this. It tried to, I guess it steered it in a little bit of a different direction. That whole direction of, oh man, it's got to be Adam Waldman. Then we'll see that later on. We see that play. That hadn't really come into effect back in the day, but it had kind of taken form, I guess, back then. It just didn't have the whole, ooh, Adam Waldman, he's to blame yet. But you can see that starting to take place here with, again, the way the Hollywood Reporter, they rewrite with, the IRS, Department of Justice, and SEC all looking into claims, into the civil lawsuit, as well as possible money laundering. Again, you have other items, like I say, and there's one specific item in there. Again, when you look at charges, I'm gonna when we're doing this too. I know there are a lot of people that are bored these days. They've been looking for cases that they want to look into. So I'm going to encourage people to look into this. I mean, to really dig deep, because here's the thing that you have to remember. Again, when the Wall Street Journal prints something, the Wall Street Journal, it's their editorial policy itself. They will not print something saying that someone is under federal criminal investigation unless the government, that would mean in this case, the Department of Justice, say the IRS, they would confirm it for them. So for them, for this deflection to take place, they're saying, well, we couldn't get this confirmed for us. Well, the Wall Street Journal, again, that's how you get sued. If you start putting pieces like that out, the Wall Street Journal, you can say anything you want about about them giving opinion pieces and, in this day and age, but they're making a specific claim. And that specific claim, again, they can blame it on anyone that they want, but for them to report that, for them to put it in a headline, that's liability, culpability. I mean, you're talking about heavy culpability. Yeah, so you can deflect all you want, but at the end of the day, they had to do at least a modicum of fact check. They're not they as many issues as I take with the mainstream media, one thing that they do try to do is they try not to have cut and dry cases that they're going to lose. And that would be, I mean, if you were like, hey man, they're under they're under investigation by the Department of Justice. I mean, that's an easy one for them to shoot holes in. So they printed it anyhow. And again, there was this, oh, well, and you see why the Hollywood Reporter, they tried to deflect away. They were saying, well, we've heard the same similar information, but, and they also said, well, the SEC, look at how this is written. This really struck me too, because the SEC, they declined to comment, and a Department of Justice rep says it does not confirm or deny the existence of the investigation. So, as a matter of reporting, they didn't confirm or deny anything. No matter how you try to reword it, how you try to point the finger, it's right there in the meat of the matter. Oh, well, we didn't. They also, some of these places, I learned this from Taylor Lorenz. Some of these places, when they quote unquote reach out for comment like this, yeah, they reach out like a hot 12 seconds before something's printed. They're like, well, we did our due diligence. We reached out. And it's like, yeah, not so much, right? Not so much. But anyway, all right. So going back to Adam Waldman, he has been posting a lot about this particular case. I mean, a lot about it. As in, I haven't really seen Adam Waldman post a lot of, hey, I'm just kind of interested in this. Let's take a sidebar. Again, he didn't post one time on it. He's posted quite a few times. And I'm going to read you some of these posts too. Hey, by the way, thank you, AJ Stone, for those 10 gifted memberships. I appreciate that. Everybody else does too. I love watching them fall. Thank you. But look at this. So Adam Waldman, the most important political corruption trial you've never heard of, begins 1 month from today. Media previously reported on it, then stopped to keep it that way. Presidents Obama, Trump, their top advisors, Leonardo DiCaprio, called as witnesses, not newsworthy. Yeah, not newsworthy. That is interesting if that's if that's what you're saying. And for real, if you go into the media and you start looking at this case, I mean, again, they talked about and then they did. And let's pull up. You can see the Malaysian Fund, 1MDB. I may say IMDb. If I do, excuse me. That's just that's habit. I say IMDb a lot on accident. So another thing on that too. With litigation, another thing you have to remember, Adam Waldman. We think about Adam Waldman in one particular skill set. A lot of us think about him as JD lawyer. Here's the thing, though. The media lays you down a lot of breadcrumbs. A lot of people have never looked into who Adam Waldman is. Like, all those claims about Russia and all that stupid stuff. You should really look into it and see who he is. One of the things you'll find out is that Adam Waldman is a former DOJ prosecutor. That's right. A lot of people don't realize that. So that's another little tidbit there too. As someone that would go in and make a claim, he would know not only what he's talking about, but on the other side of that, he would know how confirmation exists. So he would know, like I say, a Wall Street Journal. He would know how a place like that, they would operate, how they would confirm, how they would how they, or how they would deny, how the opposite would be. And on top of that, too, he would very well know from any of these positions what kind of liability you could face if you went out and you misrepresented something like that. So I mean, he would fully understand what's here. And like I said, he's been bringing us some interesting breadcrumbs, which again will make sure everything sits in there. So looking at, again, 1MDB linked to the White House visit. We read that one from the Rolling Stone. Fuji's Pras, Michael, plans subpoenas for Obama and Trump. Again, just by this alone, I mean, just think about it. Just by this alone, this thing should be everywhere right now. I mean, you should have every freaking political talking head blowing a gasket wanting to cover this. I mean, honestly, because, they would, I guess I guess you could try to make the argument saying, well, they could say, well, what about the other guy? Nah, this would be big news for covering Orange Man. I mean, my God, every freaking place out there would cover that. And the fireback or the coverage would be about Obama. Again, politically, just the rhetoric that would go back and forth. You can imagine. So what? No noise, Feds plan to call Leonardo DiCaprio, former Trump White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, at trial of Fuji's rapper, Pras Michael. Again, wow. Wow, big time. I also noticed something else. If you look at some of the numbers here, like compared to, now I realize you would have a decline in numbers depending on some keywords, this and that audience, but it's interesting considering the discussion point with this, some of the numbers these bring in. I have to wonder if audiences are confused about this subject, if they don't understand what's coming up about it, or if I mean, again, I always look at Twitter as a suppression outlet. I always wonder if the media's suppressing something. What about Twitter? And there's a connection there too. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. All of this will come together. Again, I want to be thorough in what I see taking place here. So Waldman says, in another post, again, I want to cover some of these. The true underground is a place where the power flows. That's the best kept secret of our time. The presidents and the prime ministers are the ones who make the underground deals, speak the true underground idiom. The corporations, military, banks. And again, look at these headlines. Trump fundraiser was reportedly close to securing $1 billion. See the connections? I mean, oh, Lord. There's so much, so many headlines. IMDb's latest act, 2 Obama fundraisers, 1 Fuji, $69 million. Fed seeks to seize movie rights. And also shares a Malaysia corruption case. Federal prosecutors hope to seize the rights to the comedy films Dumb and Dumber 2 and Daddy's Home. Again, just from that angle alone, you can imagine the beautiful thumbnails. The feds going after the rights to Dumb and Dumber. It's good stuff. Yeah. Oh, just look at some of this stuff. I'm making sure like what fits in. I'm seeing what all you have some different items that are in here too. Even the banking collapse as well. I'm making sure I hit the right ones. There are less than 2 weeks to go before Pras Michael's trial regarding arguably the biggest money laundering or corruption case in world history. Yet the media will no longer report on it. Perhaps a review of the untouchables who received the stolen billions will explain why. Who received the stolen billions? That's interesting. And there's some names in this that, again, there's some, we'll get to them. You have the 1MDB. You notice the date here, 2016, by the way, 2016. The inside story of the world's biggest financial scandal. And that's, by the way, what the U.S. government themselves entitled this to. I mean, if you think that that's just if that's just headline catching, it's not. You know, I went through, I was so surprised by some of the things that I was reading about this that I actually wrote. I every now and then I'll write down notes, you know, and I was like, this can't be as big as it looks. Surely this can be. But when you look it up, I mean, if you look this up just on I hate to say Wikipedia, but at the same time, even Wikipedia makes you think, holy crap, are you kidding me? You know, the stuff that's spelled out in this. I mean, the way that it's laid out is crazy. We'll actually look at the case itself or the filing itself too on top of that. But you know, the FBI documents show Leo DiCaprio, Kim Kardashian grilled for 1MDB secrets. So again, look at the connections in this beast. I know I will say that a million times, but it amazed me when I saw it. What's a Big Ben? Thanks for today. OG Thug for life. Keep calling him out. What's up, Ben, man? I haven't seen you in a hot minute. How you doing, brother? Mark, thanks for 10. Glad to hear you, Tug. You became a Tuggernaut before you started. So, hey, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to the Tuggernauts then. Sorry about that. It doesn't show it when somebody joins early on or if I miss it. So I apologize for that. She loves your channel and so excited to be a Tuggernaut. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to have her. Thank you. So you see, again, just the headlines. They're insane ones. Trump ex-fundraiser pleads guilty. 1MDB foreign lobbying case. Who received the 1MDB stolen billions, according to the DOJ, and why the media ignores it? Part 1. 69 million to Frank White, Obama's chief fundraiser, Michelle Obama's cousin, for one half of an empty joint venture called, is that Disable? I wanted to say Disable, plus $10 million more. See again, this would be a case you would expect a lot written about, a lot. Who received part 2? $7 million to Elliot Brody, Trump's chief fundraiser, with a contract for $75 million more to kill the DOJ investigation into 1MDB. Now, again, when you see this stuff, make it very clear. Myself, Waldman is not. When you see somebody talking about two sides of the political coin right there, just right in front of you, if people write that off, oh man, it's politicking. You're not looking at what's going on. I mean, it's crazy stuff. So you see the headlines for that too. I mean, again, you just follow it right out of the headlines, plus the indictments. The indictments are all there. Again, the Department of Justice themselves, they've posted about it, talking about what's going on. So you can see the numbers. I'm actually backed up in that. Here's a part 3. Goldman Sachs was paid $600 million to create crooked $6.5 billion bond for 1MDB. Goldman quietly pleaded guilty and paid $6.8 billion in fines. Isn't it fascinating, by the way, how much trouble Goldman Sachs has been in over time, and how quietly they've gotten to just, hey, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. But don't you find that interesting? Like Goldman Sachs, give me 1 second. I want to pull up one thing real quick. If you look at some of the biggest scams that have ever existed, if you look at Bernie Madoff, for example, and you look at his connection inside of Goldman Sachs, there's actually discussion. You should look into, again, just Wall Street in general, Goldman Sachs. I mean, it's nuts. It is absolutely crazy stuff. I mean, but $6.8 billion that are paid in fines. They just walk away. I mean, that's insane. It's absolutely insane. Here's part 4, 44 million to Donald Trump's subsequent inauguration chairman, Tom Rango, to buy a Hollywood hotel. You can see here, Beverly Hills Hotel, bought with looted money, goes on sale. That's crazy. I mean, just the amount of money that is involved in this, which again this will all be noted in the indictment. And there's, again, when I get through this, I will go through connecting a bit. All right. So in 11 days, a hip hop star on trial alongside fugitive Chinese spy, 2 U.S. presidents, 2 U.S. national security advisors, White House chief of staff, 2 presidential campaign chief fundraisers, Leonardo DiCaprio called witness, yet the dystopian media won't cover it. Biggest trial. Never seen anything like this. Ever seen anything like this. You know, when you talk about stuff like that too, you know, you make plenty of enemies. Like, one of the things I would ask when people see Waldman posting about this, since again, you'll see the connection with, well, there was a little bit of connection laid out, and it's kind of noted in some of this, but you see some of the people who align, I'm going to say aligned against either JD specifically, or against interests with him, or back people who aligned against him, you know, and it's unreal stuff. But Fallen Hero, thanks for the gifted membership there. Also, Rabbit, is that a new one, Rabbit? Thank you for the 5 additional gifted memberships. Thank you for that. Who received Part 6, Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, the Wolf of Wall Street movie, the movie about theft and money laundering, received over $100 million in stolen money, laundered 1MDB money. That's crazy, isn't it? The movie that is about theft received stolen money. 1MDB scandal. Document reveals cash link to Wolf of Wall Street producers. Now, there's a fascinating little connection to the Wolf of Wall Street. You notice that special things there. Notice who's circled there. Ari Emanuel. That's an interesting name. Considering Ari Emanuel, when all of this craziness was popping off with the Mandels, guess who went out and was pumping them up at the time? Oh, Ari Emanuel. Ari Emanuel is a power player, by the way. I mean, we are talking about a true power player out there. Like, most people don't understand the connections. In fact, here's something I want to note this, just in case something does happen with this too. Ari Emanuel has a connection that you might recognize, like, especially if you've seen pictures that have floated around on Twitter or on social media. You remember that picture? I don't mean this in a negative way. Well, I mean this as a descriptor, I guess. You remember that? You remember that picture that was going around with Elon Musk? They were calling it Fat Elon. You know, he's kind of overweight. He's on a boat there, on a yacht. You know, he's out doing his thing. Yeah. Who exactly is he connected to and all that? Ari Emanuel. In fact, Ari Emanuel was connected to the settlement with, when it comes to, Ari, I mean, okay. He's connected with Elon, with the Twitter settlements. He's connected with Elon. You can see him personally there. He's connected, he's Trump's agent. His brother was Obama's chief of staff. He represents David Pecker, who is a star witness testifying against Trump in the Stormy Daniels case. His connection, he has a connection with Amber's agents, of course. I mean, there's a million things probably left out in this. Let's see. He's registered to lobby for Saudi Arabia. He's also, here's your wonderful connection here, looping back a little bit, going back in a direction that we talked about at the beginning of this. You know those pesky little Mandels we were talking about? Yeah, he's Mandel's biggest client. He's been their biggest client for 25 years. So, I mean, when you're talking about connections, I mean, we're talking about somebody with connections all over this stuff. And the connections, again, Adam Waldman made a statement saying online, let me see where it is. I want to see this. He was talking about connected cases, and it was kind of a cryptic statement, but he was talking about how, it was again, I'm paraphrasing, but it was like cases not being cases, but you know, connected cases. And I'm like, what exactly trying to say there, Adam? So it started, again, I feel like I'm unlocking the Da Vinci Code in some of this. Wait. I'm sorry. I skipped a few pictures. You can see the Wolf of Wall Street. It's actually laid out here. I mean, there are dozens of videos, and you better believe, old Tug is going to definitely go down this rabbit hole a lot more. Like this is a video right here that I want. I want to go down that rabbit hole because it's fascinating to me. So the Malaysian Prime Minister got $681 million. Was caught in 2015. Obama, Trump's advisors, got hundreds of stolen millions buying U.S. policy. And again, you don't have to take anyone's word on it. You just have to follow the case and follow the indictments too. Even what's interesting, even going through and doing a surface level investigation into 1MDB, just checking out again just the sheerest surface level of all of this, not really diving into the rabbit hole, but just reading indictments, hell, reading a Wikipedia. I hate to say that, but just reading a freaking Wikipedia tells you some amazing stuff about it. You can see that. Ooh, look at that selfie. Isn't that pretty? Oh, it's amazing how corrupt the people that are supposed to protect your interests are, huh? By the way. So, part 8. Sony's purchase of EMI Music funded with $107 million in stolen money. Ari Emanuel, there, Trump's agent, co-founded Rain. That was the banker on the deal. Oh, fascinating there too. Again, so much stuff, so much goodness. Like every time I read another quote from this or another piece of it, what I keep thinking is, why won't the media cover it? And the answer is there. The answer is all in the puzzle. I mean, you can see it. You see it loud and clear. And I think it's not just who runs companies. It's not just special interests. It's also, I mean, when you start going down these particular rabbit holes, there are some powerful people on the other side of it. Powerful people that don't want to be discussed. U.S. government seizure of music publishing assets draws Malaysian financier's family. Rain, again, founded by former Goldman Sachs chief Ari Emanuel. Oh, Goldman Sachs, baby. Rain Group acted as financial advisors to the group. Ooh. Former Trump agent Ari Emanuel was considered for White House job after 2016 election. Power players, man. Oh, man, power players. Hollywood, into which billions were laundered by a fugitive Chinese spy currently hiding in China, who also corrupted 2 White Houses, naturally bought the rights to the story of 1MDB, of course. But did they, right? Because it appears it was actually China who bought the rights. Wait a minute. Whoopsie. You've probably heard some discussion about this too. The $1 billion whale. Don't confuse that with the whale. Sydney Kimmel Entertainment, Hong Kong based. Ivanhoe merge. So Chinese private equity fund takes position. So China, again, you have a Chinese spy hiding in China that actually owns the rights to the story to tell it. That's even worse. So you're not only getting the suppression of the story, but you just have out and out. It's just crazy stuff. Why no media coverage? 7 days before tectonic fraud case. Sherlock Holmes, the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime. Scotland Yard, the dog did nothing in the nighttime. Holmes, that was the curious incident. The dog did not bark because it knew the perpetrator. Indeed. When MDB faces new charges in scheme involving Trump. Feds accuse him, Pras, of funneling cash to Obama re-election campaign. I mean, it's just nuts, man. This is such a crazy thing. And of course, when you look at this, by the way, the dog, who's the dog not barking? Of course, it's the media. In this particular instance here, why no media coverage? Because the watchdog that you're supposedly, at least if you buy into the PR on it and everything, the one that's supposed to protect your interest, yeah, they know the perpetrator. They know the perpetrator very well, right? Crazy stuff. Oh man, I'm gonna have to cover this another day. This is another day's interest, by the way. So here's a revelation: the most sensational matters of our time are really one sprawling, overlapping Venn diagram of a matter. 1MDB, you have Pras, PM. Here's PM there too. Mueller investigation, Trump indictment, hush money, already pardoned, Hunter Biden. I mean, just look. I mean. It's all of this is one huge overlapping monstrosity of a case. Again, where he's talking about overlapping cases. These are the things, like I said, when he's talking about, when he's talking about one overlapping Venn diagram of a matter. He doesn't say case. I said case before. He said matter. Thinking, well, it's not just one overlapping item. I mean, you have several overlapping items. And again, right there, right in it. I wish that we actually had more access to looking at this and looking at prior cases. It would be fascinating you can dig in to that prior case with the Mandels. You can actually look at it and find probably even more connections. Like I said, I want to encourage people. This is a different thing. I saw somebody saying, "Oh man, this is a matter we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen anything like this, not at this level." And again, the things that get my attention, and I'm sure they get a lot of your attention too, aren't just the things that are being discussed openly. I mean, some of them are interesting. I mean, again, if we want to watch Paltrow in a lawsuit with somebody in ski incident, that's great. I mean, again, no, nothing negative there, but I sometimes would rather see what isn't being discussed, because those things, they really tell you the story, what's going on, not only behind the scenes, but really what power does, what money can influence power to do, and really give power as well. Anyway, so Revelation Part 2, the most sensational matters. Again, one around. So you have Mueller investigation. God, man, there's so many pieces. Look at all of this. Hush money to the Inquirer. Edgar Barrett. Gosh, man, look at it. It's nuts. Like I said, I feel like this just keeps overlapping, because again, 1MDB, Goldman Sachs, all of these. U.S. government wants the court to hand over millions of shares allegedly used in money laundering scheme. I think sometimes when people look at a case like this, one of the downsides, what I would really like to see or some of the informed lawyers take a poke at this, because I'm sure there are a lot of pieces that they would find that would probably shock them. There are a few things that I've started looking at a little bit that I want to understand a little bit more. And I think a lawyer's eyes would probably be, I mean, you have a lawyer's eyes right here, obviously. You have a lawyer, you have a lawyer's eyes and more. But when it's being discussed, when it's being laid out as more than a 280, there's so much limitation in tweets. This platform, it opens you up. Here's another thing. Like, again, look at the amount. Every now and then you'll have one that'll hit in, but that's not about that one. When they're discussed there, and again, look at all the items that should hit in this. They should get you. Remember when you see 12.8K, this is how many timelines they pop up in. This isn't how many people stop on an item or anything like that. That's just how many timelines that they pop up in. It may sound like a lot, but it's not really. It's not really at all. And again, you see the numbers, especially with there are plenty of searchable items. Adam Waldman, he's no small fry. Twitter. He's gotten quite a bit of traction for a lot of different topics. So I'm curious. This number right here is not an indication. That's how much this goes out. Like when you look at it, it's only applicable to best case scenario around 5,700 people could see it. I post about pickles and I get more than that, so that doesn't make sense to me. It feels like it's intentional sometimes, Steve Bannon added in. Or, I mean, gosh, man. I'm going to pull up the indictment itself to discuss it today. So like I said, there's a lot to this, but 4 days. We have 4 days until this pops off. 4 freaking days before this pops off. Biggest political Hollywood corruption trial in modern history. Dystopian media's on lockdown. They won't report it. Shh. Be very, very quiet. We're hunting rabbits. Indeed. They are. They love to see Waldman, when you look at this, what it looks like, the way I'm taking that, it looks like he's saying, like, with all these cases, you have the huge cases that you see today, all of these things, when you bring in what he's talking about, and that includes Stormy Daniels' hush money case. That's there. He's saying all of this is one case. That's what it looks like that he's noting. I mean, all of these cases that have been discussed because of where the money comes from, where it went to it more, saying that all is connected. And again, that's not conspiracy. That is very well laid out. You don't have to jump around and be like, oh man, that's conspiracy. I mean, you see all the power players. You see them. They're laid out in black and white. It's very easy to follow this stuff. The discussion on this too. So give me 1 second. I'm setting 2 things up here. There's been some, like I said, some fascinating notations on this. The background. Let me give you an easy to follow background. And again, this is so dumbed down. It hurts my brain. And yet we'll look at the case lineup too. But people who haven't heard about this. All right, give me a second. So if you were to look up 1MDB, you have the Prime Minister of Malaysia. That's first year of office. He establishes 1MDB, a sovereign wealth fund. I said Southern Sovereign Wealth Fund, which sought out to make strategic investments, alleviate poverty as part of his economic liberation policies, and trademark the One Malaysia program. The fund had a budget of $1 billion to invest. And with the PM having the sole authority to sign off on investments and manage that, his family, again, they note their involvement. Plus, you'll see Low come up over and over again. Malaysian businessman and financier. Despite not having a formal position at 1MDB, Low supported its establishment and was given extensive access to the fund due to high-profile political connections in Malaysia and the Middle East and entertainment connections in the U.S. Low joined high-level meetings and facilitated numerous deals attached to that. So you have German bankers, again, attached. Goldman, the head of Goldman Sachs in Malaysia. I mean, again, when you look at all the pieces, and I mean, we're talking about it's a crime initially of foreign countries. You're talking about Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, China, UAE. And the scam here is the U.S. DOJ. They describe this scheme's involvement in 3 phases. In 2019, you have Low, and again, the PM, and they meet with representatives of private oil company on a yacht in Monaco to discuss 1MDB's first investments. So you see the amounts of money that end up changing hands in this. They end up signing a $2.5 billion joint venture here. The DOJ later says that this was pretends to move $1 billion into a Swiss bank account. An additional $1.4 billion was then raised by Goldman Sachs in a bond issue and misappropriated into a bank account into Switzerland. An additional $1.3 million from Goldman Sachs was also diverted into a bank account in Singapore. U.S. authorities say that Goldman Sachs, particularly Roger Ng, were central in orchestrating the scheme, particularly the laundering of money from that, some of which was used to pay bribes of officials in Malaysia and the UAE. So again, laying it out, and they lay it out much better in the indictments itself, which I would encourage you just to, if you want to know just specifics, a real overview, and you also want to understand the way this story will be diverted. I want you to look at the overview, the divestment, I guess it is, of funding into political power and into bribery. And then I want you to look at how this is going to be described. It's going to be like, oh man, he bought toys like a super yacht. It's going to be the story that's told will be part of the story, but it will not be the entire story. It will divert away from many of the real players that are involved in this. Now, there have been multiple posts from the U.S. Department of Justice talking about this. They've made posts about who's actually indicted. You can see Pras in this. They describe exactly how this lays out. And then there's the indictment itself. Now, the indictment itself, let me pull this up here. The indictment itself. Good times. The defendant, I'm just going to call them Low. The easiest way for me to go was they give the background. We've already gone over a lot of the background here, but actually let's just read this. It's not a long, terrible document. It was a Malaysian national who advised the creation of, we're going to say TIA, the predecessor entity, IMDb, Malaysia's state-owned, state-controlled investment development company. Low worked as an intermediary in relation to IMDb. When I am 1MDB, I said IMDb. I told you I would do that a few times. And other foreign government officials on numerous financial transactions and projects involving U.S. financial institutions. The identity of U.S. financial institution number 1 and all other As an entity and individuals discussed herein are known to the grand jury. They know, by the way, I'm sure you heard a few of those. You like how they're like, oh, you don't need to know who they are. You don't need to know who they are. Though he did not hold the former position of 1MDB, nor was he ever employed by the governments of Malaysia. I'm dumb. We're going to say Roger NG or Roger NG. We'll just call him NG. That's easier. Was a Malaysian national who was employed as a managing director by various subsidiaries and acted as an agent and employee of U.S. financial institution number one. NG worked with co-conspirator number one at U.S. financial institution number one from approximately 2005 to May 2014. NG was thus an employee and agent of an issuer with meaning of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. That is a big time thing too. If you want an interesting read, look up Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, by the way, and look it up with some of the names that we've discussed. See what you find there, because that's not some nebulous item that's being alleged. There are certain crimes that you can say somebody is guilty of. Some nebulous thing, a catch-all, as it were. This, not so much. So look up some of those big-time names. Look up that and see exactly what you pull back. I think some people will find that very fascinating too. I mean, the amount of money here, with stolen funds. You think about this again, the discussion while you're looking all this up. These entities, they still billions. They had $6.5 billion raised fraudulently through Goldman Sachs, and they set out to launder the funds by buying both things in the U.S. Buying both things and U.S. government policies that the countries want. So essentially, yeah, they have the toys there. They have the discussion, but when you're reading through this, remember they're buying policy too. They're buying things that their countries they want. Then they tried to buy a cover-up. So they go out, they not only buy that, but they try to buy the cover-up itself to shut down these investigations. They put a lot of money into that and a lot of political power there. Along the way would be partner countries like Saudi Arabia. They bought up the Hollywood media. So, I mean, when you look at the mainstream media and their connection to it, who's going to cover it? Well, the Rolling Stone, right? Wait a minute. They're owned by Saudi Arabia. Whoops. They might not want to cover that. Deadline, The Wrap, Hollywood Reporter, all these different places. They're bought up by the same entities that don't want you to cover that. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? The same outlets, for some reason, despite all that evidence, went on the warpath against, who are those people that we talked about? Oh, yeah, Adam Waldman. And what's that other guy that went to trial? They wouldn't cover JD. Strange. Again, especially when you look at connection. It might not just be listen and believe. It might be something a whole lot more nefarious down that rabbit hole. A lot more craziness. But anyway, so let's continue here. The relevant entities. U.S. financial institution number one. They're a global investment bank, securities and investment management firm incorporated in Delaware, headquartered in New York. It conducted its activities primarily through various subsidiaries and affiliates. They're just going to call them, I'm just calling them number one, okay? Including those that employed the defendant Roger NG and some of his co-conspirators, including co-conspirator number one. Number one had a class of securities registered pursuant to Section 12 of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 and was required to file reports with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission under Section 15 of the Exchange. As such, U.S. Financial Institution 1 was an issuer, meaning within the meaning of the SCPA, Title 15, U.S. code. You get the code there anyway. So 1MDB. That's another, again, we're going through the relevant entities. 1MDB and other relevant entities. 1MDB was a strategic investment and development company who owned and controlled by the government of Malaysia through its Ministry in Finance, MOF. Ministry of Finance, again, MOF. It was formed in or around 2009 when the Malaysian government took federal control of TIA, which had previously been the Sovereign Wealth Fund of the state of, I'll mess that name up, in Malaysia. 1MDB was created to pursue investment and development projects for the economic benefit of Malaysia and its people, primarily relying on debt to fund those investments. 1MDB's development project was focused in the areas of energy, real estate, tourism, and agribusiness. 1MDB was overseen by senior Malaysian government officials, was controlled by the government of Malaysia, and performed governmental function on behalf of Malaysia. Malaysian official number 1, further described below, was a high-ranking official in the Malaysian government and Ministry of Finance with high-level authority to, among other things, approve and influence 1MDB business decisions. 1MDB was thus an instrument of a foreign government with the meaning of, and again, you have the act there. Foreign Agency A was an investment fund wholly owned by the government of. So again, you see the governments playing in this. You see all the governments that are attached to this. So you have, again, 1MDB being its 1MDB being attached government. You have Foreign Agency A overseeing. Again, I don't want to read you every sentence in this thing being attached to it there. Then you have other relevant individuals between, in, or around 1998 and in or around February 2016. Co-conspirator 1 was employed by various subsidiaries. I haven't done a live stream in like a week, so I'm like, and acted as an agent or employee of U.S. Financial Institution 1 prior to his separation from Institution 1 around February 2016. Co-conspirator number 1 was the Southeast Asian chairman and participating management director of U.S. Financial Institution 1. Co-conspirator number 1 was an employee, agent, and issuer. Again, they give you the breakdown to it. Co-conspirator number 2 was a U.S. citizen who was a high-ranking official in the foreign investment firm A from around 2012 to around 2014. Co-conspirator 3, Malaysian national, who's a close relative of 1. Again, we've seen these names. We know who these people are, but you see how they're listed out. Foreign government officials. I mean, you can see how they're, again, there are many foreign government officials that are listed in this. The criminal scheme itself, the overview. 1MDB was created to pursue investment and development projects for the economic benefit of Malaysia and its people. However, between approximately 2009 and 2014, billions of dollars were misappropriated and fraudulently diverted from 1MDB through various means. The purpose, in part for the purpose of paying bribes to foreign officials. The defendants, Low and NG, co-conspirator 1, and others conspired to launder the proceeds of the criminal conduct in and through the U.S. financial system. These laundered funds were used in, among other ways, to pay bribes to obtain and retail business for U.S. financial institution number 1, and for the personal benefit of the co-conspirators and their relatives and associates, including, amongst other things, for the purchase of luxury residential real estate in the United States, artwork in New York, and the funding of major Hollywood films. Again, the kind of stuff that should be making headlines, and it did for a hot minute. And if you're like, well, again, I've heard people talk about stuff like this and say, well, it was covered. Well, why isn't it being covered right when it's on your doorstep? You know what I mean? Let me hit it. Hey, Jay Stone, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, by the way. I know I've been reading. I've been making sure. With this, I wanted to make sure I said things the way that I wanted to say. Like I said, I freestyle a lot, but I made notes this time. I will hit any super chat that came into, but I actually made notes. I hope what I said made sense. so far. Again, especially when discussing how all of this stuff, you're not looking, when you look at all of these major cases that have been discussed lately, you're not talking about you're not talking about multiplication, you're talking about fractions of a whole. Because the money that went into it, the interest, a lot of this money that's been used for payoffs or whatever, all of it came from this. It came from this broken thing. The thing that helped buy 2 presidential freaking terms. I'm sorry, not 2 presidential terms, but 2 presidential, 2 presidents in office. That's a better way to put it. That's a lot of funding going around and a lot of power. And again, owning the apparatus that is supposed to be the watchdog to that. They bought it. Plus, they had so much money, they were like, hey, let's put some money here, let's put some money there, and more people, when this is covered, there's more interest being paid to here's where the scraps went. Again, because they make nice headlines, but the power, that's the crazy thing. And you also, again, I wonder, when people like a Waldman were bringing up pieces of that, they went hard after Adam Waldman, not during the trial. You notice this is a fascinating thing too. They didn't go hard after Adam Waldman necessarily just after the trial. It wasn't as hard as I expected, but back when, in the back when, when we're talking about the early times, they were closer to the Mandels. That's when they really went after Adam Waldman. They really tried to put him in the dirt. And that's kind of interesting, isn't it? What's up, Jill Line? Thanks for the 100. Thank you there. Just realized you were on. Won't be able to hear till tomorrow as the Ambien is taking hold. Hope you feel better. Wish you luck on health. Kicking health's butt. Thank you. Thank you. I'll leave this one up too for sure. Mystified, thank you for the 5 memberships as well. It's just, like I said, I hope that all makes sense. Now, again, when you're looking through, I don't know if I want to read you this whole document tonight. I think I want to put more pieces into it. But what I want, what I want to ask people, again, I don't want to sit on this and just be like, yo, Tug's covering this one. I want a lot of people to talk about this kind of stuff. This is something that you could throw out videos and attach, which I will put out some videos on, because I think it's interesting and it's not being discussed. This is the thing. This is why, if you want to call that citizen journal, whatever the hell you want to call this kind of thing, this is what it matters for. Not regurgitating headlines over, the same thing the media is covering. The real meat of the matter. The thing you can do. And again, I'm not saying that stuff's not important. That's not what I mean at all. I'm saying when you run into something like this and they're flagrantly ignoring it for some reason, these are the kind of things that people need to cover. They need to talk about and they need to look into. And I know there are a lot of bored people out there that haven't had anything to talk about lately. They've been looking for that other thing to discuss. A lot of people, I've seen them. They're in, like there are people that you can see argue with relative nobodies on like Twitter, for example, spending your day. That's not, if it's fun for you, awesome, but that's not very conducive. There have been some interesting things. Like I'll probably put a video tomorrow out with the Shannon Curry interview. I think that's interesting. I think I want to catch that up. And there are a few other things that I want to catch up to. Again, I've been away a week, so I want to catch a few things up. But at the same time, this, like the idea, again, the Wolf of Wall Street payday, like that's nuts. That stuff is absolutely nuts. But there's so much more. Again, that's almost diversion, like when you look through it. you know, all the political heads aren't going to talk about this thing with what it truly is. You're going to have a political head that's going to spin it. If they talk about it all, they're going to spin it. They're going to say, they're going to come up, oh, Orange Man bad, or, Obama bad. And yeah, I mean, that is true, but that's spin. That's spin. Because it's more like corrupt political system bad. That's the true nature of this thing. And you have, let me see, let me pull up something here. Give me 1 minute. You also have, other discussion with names pulled in. This is the name that's attached to it all the time. U.S. entertainer, businessman, and Malaysian national charged with back channel lobbying campaign to drop 1MDB investigation and remove Chinese dissident from U.S. So again, they were trying to get it dropped. This is where a federal grand jury in the District of Columbia returned a superseding indictment Thursday, charging a U.S. entertainer and businessman and a Malaysian national with orchestrating an unregistered back channel campaign beginning in or about 2017 to influence the then administration of the President of the United States and Department of Justice, both to drop the investigation into Lowe and others in connection with the international strategic development company known as 1MDB, and to send Chinese dissident back to China. According to this, you have Lowe, and also known as, again, they give his name, would just say Lowe, and Pras from the Fugees. That's right. The businessman and U.S. entertainer, it's Pras from the Fugees. It's fascinating, isn't it? I was like, Pras. Where do I know that name from? Pras. Oh, yeah, I know. Remember where I know that name from. I remember where I know that name from. It's crazy. I mean, it's interesting. None of this stuff gets covered either. But, when I think back to the fact that, like a Waldman, for example, we were talking about him earlier, right? Waldman stood under investigation by the New York Times for 2 damn years. 2 years, and they didn't drop any stories on the man when they were doing all that, but they kept him under investigation for 2 freaking years. You know why they didn't drop a story? Because there was no story on him. But they wanted to go after him. They wanted to bury him. They wanted to. That's the kicker there. But this doesn't get covered. When we're talking about this kind of stuff, there's a difference in why something is or isn't covered too. Like that, they couldn't find a story to burn an Adam Waldman. They tried again, 2 freaking years under scrutiny. Can you imagine that by one of these? I mean, we're talking about powerful institutions, and I mean, many of them tried to do damage, but they couldn't find the things they were hoping to find. They threw out enough. You had mainstream media throw out enough buzzwords and garbage trying to bury the man, but 2 years, and yet with this, they've been silent on. Now, what's the difference? Well, the reason this doesn't get talked about is because this would touch the untouchable. I mean, some of the names that we've seen here, they're some of the most powerful people connected to some of the most powerful organizations, political power that we've ever seen. I mean, they pretty much they are the untouchables, and it touches them. So of course they're not going to cover that. But it's fascinating, isn't it? I mean, when you look at that, you look at who they try to take down, who they won't try to take down, and again, you start filling in the margins between. It's just interesting stuff. But when you see again Pras, I was like, freaking Pras. Yeah. Let's see. They're alleged to conspire with Brody. You have all the names and others in a undisclosed lobbying campaign at the direction of Lowe, and the Vice Minister of Public Securities for the People's Republic of China, both to have 1MDB embezzlement investigation and forfeitures proceeding involving Lowe and others dropped, and to have a Chinese dissident sent back to China. Pras and Lowe are also charged with conspiring to commit money laundering related to foreign influence campaigns. Pras is also charged with witness tampering and conspiracy to make false statements to banks. I mean, these are big charges. This isn't like typically when you see a Hollywood star get in trouble, you don't see them getting in trouble for something real. This stuff is real. It's very real, and again, it's right around the corner. I would be fascinating to see how this plays out and how it's covered. What's up, Mystified? Thanks for doing. You'd see if Adam Waldman wants to talk with you about this. I bet he would. I'm careful, I guess, about what I talk to people about there. Now in the far-flung future, or maybe not the far-flung future, who knows? Who knows how life will set up? One day I'll be like, yo, when there's a time is right, maybe if he breaks his media silence. You notice the man has never talked publicly. This is one of the things I thought was telling about him. He could have traded, like a lot of people take the moment and they trade it for clout. They go out into the media, they talk to them. He didn't. He didn't do that. He didn't do his interviews. He didn't do the rounds after any case. He just kept doing his own thing. If he ever decides to break his silence there, and he doesn't want to talk to those institutions, he's welcome to come on there. That's one thing. And I mean, he's on Twitter. People can ask him like straight up what something is or isn't, or what it means. But I think he's done a very good job of setting out facts for people to find right there, right out in the open. And on top of that, I mean, it's like with the Depp case. When he threw out stuff, he would throw out concrete facts. He wouldn't leave things open for interpretation, but he would leave things open for you to find more. You go out, you find it, you find the information, you come back, you bring it back. And I think that's part of this. I mean, he's given you quite a bit already. I mean, he's just laid it bare. Like on this subject, he's laid it right out there. If he ever breaks his media silence, he's welcome to talk. But I think he breaks that silence. I like the way he does things before that, because, like, again, there isn't a person interpreting what goes on as far as media taking his actual words. You're taking his posts and you're looking at the information and you're putting it in pieces, but you're not taking his words and trying to warp it into anything else. You know what I mean? Like that's why I always put somebody's actual words into something. I'm glad he's never given a media interview like that. I think if you ever found it important enough, he probably would. I mean, how would you ever trust the media if you're an interview anyway? But yeah. I mean, I think if people act, if they find this story if they find this interesting, make sure to encourage them to put out more. Like, retweet, because again, I think some of it is possibly suppressed. I mean, if you're talking about something mainstream and other people would suppress, why wouldn't they suppress it on Twitter? Again, you're talking people involved like Ari Emanuel. They're buddies with the ownership of Twitter. Like, why wouldn't they? This is the same platform that suppressed information because of a person that had an indirect. They banned people over indirect connection. I mean, well, they had a connection, but also some indirect connection. You remember the whole blue thing. You saw what they did with that. What would they do to protect somebody that had a monetary attachment? Other power players. See, that's a scary thought in its own way. Rosemary, thanks for 10. Do we even have a legitimate DOJ that will actually touch any of this? It'll be interesting to see, won't it? See? Going after anyone, especially Hollywood and certain politicians. I think you'll have certain people that will take the fall, possibly. It's like this. Goldman Sachs. What happened with Goldman Sachs? They faced a fat fine. But just like financial institutions that were involved, let's put another crime out there, right? Again, not comparing one to the other, but Madoff. When Madoff ran his giant Ponzi scheme, he took what was it, It was a $60 billion Ponzi scheme, but it was fake. Those are fake numbers. The real numbers are about, I think it was $16 million or $1 billion that were taken from people. The banks that were involved, they were fined, but nobody faced any kind of prosecution. The only people that were in fact prosecuted for that nasty little thing were people, they were Madoff, a few people surrounding him, some underlings, and that's it. Like the people were in feeder funds. They ran them all over, outside of the U.S. too. They weren't prosecuted. In fact, some of the major players that were involved in that, they were given, clean. They're giving clean bills of health, as it were. Like they weren't involved at all. So I mean, with this kind of stuff, no real power player is usually ever touched by something like this. Will Pras end up in trouble? Possibly. It depends on what he knows, too. Depends on if he knows to keep his mouth shut, too. Okay, you guys, when you're facing off with some of these power players, you may end up with some real problems, like, breathing problems. We've seen that happen before in the past. Let me look up some super chats. I thought this was a fascinating discussion here. And it's one that over time, I think we're going to hear even more about. But it's not going to come from the sources that should be doing this. That's the crazy thing. The people that are actually, they're paid to be watchdogs. It doesn't come from them. What's up, 2012? On Catch the Super Chats. Thanks for 2. Tug is so late that he is gone. Lad, wow. Yeah, that's the background there, of course. 2012, thanks for 2. Nothing like starting a stream with a howdy, y'all. No way. Bubbles, I don't know if I caught that 5. Woo! Thank you for that. If I did, if I didn't, thank you anyway. I appreciate it either way. Fallen Hero, thanks for the buck there. And the smiley face upside down one. Thank you for that. Ooh, thanks for the 5. Welcome back, Tug. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Carol, thanks for the 2. Hello. Thanks, Miss Tug, for sharing you with us. Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all having me there. It's good times. Let's see. 2012, thanks for the 2. California journalism usage fee legislation. Ouch. Yeah, I saw that. It's nuts. It's nuts. Dreadnought, thanks for the 5. Welcome back, Tug. Glad to have you back. Sorry about your health issues. I know how difficult health issues can be. Hope you're doing better. Yeah, I mean, I am. I just, when we were, I'm amazed at how, like, the one thing, like with YouTube, the algorithm is so weird and unfriendly. So I'm amazed by how that thing, the last time after I had a week off, and then after that, I had to have more time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's been good. Live stream went really good. I'm happy with it. So I appreciate all of you too. Steph, thanks for the 5 there. JJ is excited you're back and feeling better. Well, I'll say thank you to them too. I'm glad to be back, by the way. Very much glad to be back. Angel, thanks for the 2. Yeah, the block. So I couldn't find so I looked for the account so far. It's buried. There's about 200 from the whole time this account said here, there's about 200 accounts that have been blocked. That may sound like a lot, but we're talking scammers and other things. Some of them, when they shut their account down, they go away. Okay, but there are some scam accounts that remain, and there's probably 40 people dispersed. There's no rhyme or reason to how they're put together, so it takes forever to find them. And I'll keep looking. I know the account's in there. I haven't spotted it yet. Mark. Oh, yeah, caught that. Thank you, Mark. Thank you again, Rhea, too. Appreciate that. And props to JJ as well. Thank you. Spree, thanks for the 5. They've been trying to get Trump for over 6 years. You'd think if he did something illegal, the left mainstream, it would be over. Well, here's the problem with this. If you go into it, it's not just a Trump, it's the Trump and Obama administrations. Money, lots of money exchanged hands. And that goes to the true seat of power, political power. Again, it's not just about, regardless of what you think about somebody, as far as politics are concerned, politics are a game of influence, and when both parties are culpable with something, they're not going to talk. With true power players, they get in trouble. Oh, you're not going to talk. I mean, some of the names that you see attached to this, you're talking about huge names. So beautifully, thanks for the 2. new unedited cab video details. Cab video. You have to send that to me. I don't know what you're talking about there. Slaya, thanks for the 220. I can control all minds, everyone. Glad to know that. I'm glad to know it. Dreaddock, thanks for the 5. I'd like to say again, so good to have you back. Also, perfect stream timing. My birthday was yesterday on the 22nd. I'm now 28 years old. Hey, what's up, Dreadnought? Props. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Vanessa. There's good birthdays in there. Hope all of y'all doing good. What's up, Ray? Thanks for joining. Welcome back, Tug. So glad you're. Have you checked your post box yet? There should be a few parcels waiting for you guys. Again, welcome back. We missed you. Hey, thank you, Ray. Props to you, by the way. Yeah, I got some stickers. I got to look at them. The stickers are freaking awesome, by the way. So there's stickers. We've been trying out as products stickers, like not tiny stickers, some big ones. I would photograph them. There's some really cool designs. So I'll have to show those off pretty soon. John, thanks for the 5. The worst is tech collusion. If you search things like should get feng shui instead, space arrangement, furniture placement. That's true. Mark Norman, thanks for the 10. So hope Tug has a room with hundreds of clippings pinned to the walls and bits of colored string connecting them all, like that woman from Homeland. That's funny. Now, I mean, it's more like, you go in and one of the things I found interesting about this is, so in the last week, I've tried to talk to a few sources on this thing as well. Some people would give a little bit, some people would give a lot of bit, and some people would give nothing at all. And that was a weird thing. That was a very weird thing. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to see really hardly anyone. I think for this, I think you're going to see some very small players go down. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but those names, when the people that control the ability to pardon someone or not, when they're connected, I don't see how you can take anyone down. Hey, Fallen Hero, thank you for another gifted membership. I may have missed one in there as well. If I did, thank you for that too. If you didn't, thank you regardless. I appreciate you for sure. Angela Quinn, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for that membership. Welcome to Tux Thugs. Hey, Tammy, thanks for the 2. Was it David Shane connected to TMG Mandel? David Shane. I don't know. The name's slipping me for a minute. I'll have to look back. And see. There's so many names that are floating around in my brain right now. Apologies. I just, for some reason, I can't place. What's up, Phoebe? Thanks for the 20 there. Just got here. Starting from the beginning. Good to see you, Tug. Hey, appreciate that. Like I said, I'll leave this one up. Y'all enjoy it? Yeah. This one, I think, like I said, it's a fascinating thing. I wanted to go through it live because I need to. I try to condense videos, try to go through, make them make sense. But with there's so much to this. I will, again, I will take there are, for anybody out there, there are multiple stories attached to this thing. That are well worth telling. There are probably 100 stories in this mess, and anybody could go in and tell them. 2012, thanks for too. Tug, look at the DM for funny stuff like Squirrel. I'll check that out too. 2012, Tug. Where's the full Monty t-shirt? The full Monty t-shirt. That's funny. I haven't even looked up anything on the monograph stuff in the last few days. I haven't seen anything. Oh yeah, there you go. Movies, Myths, and Monsters. Thank you. Yeah, by the way, I saw hitting on that. I haven't had a chance to check out anything really there. I saw people were saying, hey, yeah. So I'm curious to see what Movies, Myths, and Monsters have covered on that. Check them out too. They are criminally underwatched in my opinion. There are a lot of really good channels. Again, you have them for covering just quite a few different things. You also have people like, again, Laura B for the insurance coverage cases. There's so many good people. I need to make a list of the channels that are out there covering, because I know, there's a case here or there, like a lot of people will cover, and that's good. I mean, Emily D. Baker's always does great coverage on cases. I saw she and Andy were covering the Paltrow case. I thought about talking about that for a minute, but there have been a couple of funny things in there, but it's boring. It's not very fun. Now, Paltrow may be interesting. The whole thing, the one lawyer and the stuff with "don't put the camera on me," essentially, that was kind of entertaining, but the rest of it was not. It wasn't at all. But anyway, Movies, Myth, and Monster, thanks for 5. Yes, David Shane did PR for TMG. He now does Turd PR. That's right. David Shane. That's I couldn't put his name in my, for some reason, I don't know why I couldn't pick up who David Shane was. Yes, indeed. I don't know why I couldn't fix his name. It's just too many names in the day, I think, is what the problem was. Ray, thanks for the 5 there. Did you get the zipper hoodie too? I don't know. I'll have to check. I'm not sure. You just walked in. And also Movies and Monsters, thanks for 2. Tate's Tug, appreciate the shout out. Oh, for real. You guys, you do really good stuff. I mean, you always have. Like the breakdowns for the Depp case. They were much better than I can get in and cover, but some of you, like yourselves, again, Laura, some of you have just razor sharp memories. I feel distracted sometimes, so mine works a little ADHD like sometimes. Ooh, I'm hyper focused. Wait a minute, that's shiny and pretty. And names. Sometimes I forget names, but y'all do a good job. Good work. So Helen, thanks for the 6 months. Had many comments, compliments on my Pickle University t-shirt. Glad you took time out. Cheers. Yeah, definitely. I had to have some. It wasn't something I got a real choice on. You know what I mean? It's when I say this, I'm just talking to. I'm not complaining about anything. I'm lucky. I'm fortunate to have. I'm fortunate to be here and in good. I mean, I feel like I'm in good health. A few problems here and there, hiccups are all good. But anyway, all right. Well, anyway, I'm going to end here. I think it's a good place to stop. We've had a good one today. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going on yet. I'll definitely try to put out a video tomorrow. I want to do a video on that Dr. Curry. Dr. Curry ran offline. She was ran off Twitter. So I want to put that in the beginning. And then she did a good interview. And I thought I would clip out some of that, maybe 20 minutes of it. It's an hour and a half video. So I thought 20 minutes ain't gonna hurt anything. But I mean, there's some fascinating discussion in there. And because of all of that, I mean, before she did the interview, I mean, she was ran offline. You can look it up. She ended up quitting Twitter because of the crazies. They were trying to take her. They were trying to take her ability to practice. They were putting in false complaints about her. I mean, just the craziest stuff. I just couldn't even believe some of the stuff that was coming in. I'll probably do one of that. American Woman, thanks for the 10. I heard they're investigating Epstein's finances again. Last time they tried an assassin showed up at the judge's house. Her son and husband dressed like FedEx. Nobody talked about it after. Well, that whole situation, I mean, you know, anything that involves power players, for real, you know, that discussion involves power players. That's why we have never been privy to true lists from that, because the people in that aren't protected. I mean, again, that's not conspiracy to say those people that are involved are protected, just like stuff like this, real power. But anyway, I'm gonna let you folks out of here. I will see you, and we may talk tomorrow. We'll see. There's plenty of subjects to cover. So yeah. Anyway, appreciate you.